let's introduce our newsmaker on the program today. With me here in the studio is a former Finance and Home Minister P Chidambaram. Welcome to the program. How do you see what has played out in court today? There was a sense that initially the Gandhis may choose to not furnish a bail bond. Instead, what we saw was a hearing that lasted no longer than 5 minutes. The next hearing in February, a bit of a non-event really, except for the fact that Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi chose to immediately target the Prime Minister after that. What does the Prime Minister have to do with what happened in court?
You sound disappointing that
as a journalist, we always hope for
you want a media event.
Drama from any party.
Everything does not become a media event. I think they behaved with great dignity, offered bail bond, and the court granted them bail. That's the end of the matter.
But the political statement right after that, I'm trying to understand the connection.
The political statement stems from a series of actions. Firstly, criminalizing what essentially is a restructuring of a company. Then there were other actions.
But the judge did that, not the government.
No, the judge did not.
I mean, the judge decided that there was a prima facie case and allegation of criminal breach of trust.
The judgment is incomprehensible. I'm not criticizing the judge, but I'm entitled to criticize the judgment. The judgment says it's not necessary for him to identify which section of the law is attracted today. That's why I said the judgment is incomprehensible. Be that as it may. There are other acts committed by the government, raiding a chief minister's office, encouraging a governor to advance a session of the legislature without the cabinet's advice. These are unprecedented actions. Therefore, if there is a series of acts committed by the government or encouraged to be committed by the government, then one has to draw the conclusion that there is a method in the madness.
However, while the Arunachal Pradesh example you cite stands on its own merit, while the raids on the Chief Minister's office and his principal secretary have been argued through the week, in this particular case, the Finance Minister is on record to me saying two things. The Enforcement Directorate is not involved in the case. There is no notice from the ED. This is nothing to do with the Enforcement Directorate. This is nothing to do with the government. They further said there wasn't even a government lawyer in court today. The government has not taken a position. How do you connect it to the government and claim vendetta?
I think you didn't ask him the right question.
And what question should I have asked?
Was there a letter from the private complainant to the Prime Minister complaining against the then ED?
Mr. Katoch, but Mr. Jaitley denied.
Was there a letter or not?
If there was a letter, Mr. Jaitley further denied that the transfer had anything to do with this particular case.
Those are conclusions that must be left to the viewer. Was there a letter from the private complainant?
And if there was such a letter, it's not that the government listens to everything that Dr.
There was a letter,
to them.
so you admit there was a letter, or you presume there was a letter, and within a couple of days after the letter, the director is transferred and a case is reopened. Was there a letter?
Yes, we believe there was a letter, but it is not necessary that the government would act on everything that Dr.
Why was a person who has been the enforcement director and was holding additional charge after his appointment to a post of secretary transferred, and the charge given to another person again is additional charge?
The question still remains, Mr. Chidambaram, that had the court decided that Mr. Swami's petition did not have substance, the court could have thrown it out. You know this as a senior lawyer.
Again, you're getting into the debate on the merits of the case, merits of the judgment. You are entitled to think that the judgment is right, but I'm entitled to say that the judgment is wrong. No, I'm taking no sides on
the judgment. I'm merely making the argument that when a judge of the High Court, since we are asked to respect the judiciary, when a judge of the High Court believes that there are some serious questions that arise from this case and the Gandhis must explain themselves, then it is a bit odd for Mrs. Gandhi, for example, to invoke Indira Gandhi and say, I'm Indira's Bahu, I'm not scared of anybody. Arun Jaitley said that statement reeked of the political entitlement of a Delhi VIP, who says, "Tum jante nahi ho main kaun."
This is the Finance Minister's take on that statement.
Yes, what is your take?
That statement simply said, we are not scared if people try to intimidate us. That's the sense of that statement.
But why invoke the family? Is the family the same as the Congress?
The family was not invoked. All that she said was a matter of fact. Indira Gandhi faced intimidation by the government. She was not intimidated. So she said, I am not intimidated by the government. What is wrong with that? To make an argument out of that, I mean, I think is completely misplaced. The point is, we think that the judgment is wrong. Nevertheless, since the judge sent them back to the summoning court, they've appeared before the summoning court. I think they've acted perfectly admirably according to the book, and there can be no fault found with the way the Gandhis have acted after the judgment.
The political parade, the supporters, the politicization of what was a court judgment. Let me put it to you like this.
There was no parade, please understand. Patiala House courts are far away from the Congress office. Congressmen, including me, assembled at the Congress office in order to show solidarity with our leaders. There was no tamasha, there was no parade. Please don't spread the word or spread the message there was any parade. The court appearance was a dignified court appearance, respecting the court, applying for bail bond and getting bail bond within a minute. It was a routine appearance in a court.
I think we're also talking about what happened right after the court, which you've made your political argument on. But it could be said that the Congress is seeking to hide behind this word called vendetta in order to not answer some awkward questions that do arise from this case. Sharad Pawar, for example, who's an old ally, he was in government with you. He said in his memoirs and also in an interview to me that the Gandhis treated the Congress as their family fiefdom. When we see this young Indian company and we see that this equity, in a sense, has been taken over by young India, and 76% of that is owned by Mrs. Gandhi and her son, the question could be asked, why just them? Why did two of these people from the Congress have to own 76% of Young India, which Subramaniam Swamy says gives them control over real estate worth 2,000 crores? If this is Congress money, the ownership of Young India could have been spread across many leaders of the Congress.
See, I've seen and heard some comments.
Yes.
And I'm amazed by the ignorance of those who make those comments. The facts of the case are pretty simple. There are only 4 steps here. There's a company called Associated Journals Limited. Congress party lent money to that company in order to support a newspaper founded by Jawaharlal Nehru and others over a period of time. Step 1, that was. Nothing wrong. No section of any law is violated. Congress party assigns that loan to a Congress-controlled non-profit body. Perfectly valid, no law is violated. The Congress-controlled non-profit body offers to swap the loan for equity. Happens every day. Every day in the world it happens. Loans are swapped for equity.
The 50 lakhs for 90 crores.
That's the problem. 50 lakhs for 90 crores is not the swap. The swap is 90 crore loan for 90 crore equity. The 50 lakh for 90 crore is an assignment of the loan from the Congress party to a Congress-controlled non-profit body. It's still a Congress-controlled body, a non-profit body.
Is it a Congress-controlled, Mr. Chidambaram,
of course,
or is it a Gandhi-controlled non-profit body? That's my question.
Young Indian is a Congress-controlled body.
With 76% in ownership
Makes no difference whether 100 people own 1% each or whether 5 people own 20% each. It still remains a non-profit body. Not one of them can take 1 rupee out of that company. Okay. Step 3 was swapping the loan. Perfectly valid, no law is violated. Step 4 is that the non-profit body becomes a dominant shareholder of AJL. But it is a non-profit body. Not 1 rupee has been taken out of AJL. Not 1 rupee has been received by Young Indian. Not 1 rupee has been distributed by Young Indian. And mark this, not 1 rupee can be distributed by Young Indian. The assets you talk about, 2,000 crore, whatever, these fancy numbers, that remains with AJL. All the assets of AJL remain with AJL. All the income of AJL remain with AJL. I think the facts are pretty simple to anybody who has bothered to look
so,
at the facts.
two state governments, Maharashtra and the authorities in Madhya Pradesh, have actually moved to probe and review the land that was given on lease. The argument being that this land has been used for everything but a newspaper. So in Bhopal, you have a mega mart and a mall. In Mumbai, in Bandra, you now have an 11-story commercial building coming up. None of this has anything to do with the newspaper called National Herald. Is this not misusing the terms of the lease on which the land was given?
A newspaper does not run on love and fresh air. A newspaper can only run with money. It must have income.
But where is the newspaper?
Wait a minute. The newspaper was closed because it did not have money. There is a proposal to revive the newspapers, what I read and hear. Take, for example, I don't want to name the newspaper, a very famous newspaper in Mumbai. Most of its income came from the real estate of that building.
You're talking about the Indian Express, but
I'm not mentioning any name.
But there is a newspaper there. There's no National Herald here.
Yes, because it was there. It was there. It closed down because it lost money. There's a proposal to revive it. In the meanwhile, if your assets can generate an income, what is wrong in generating that income as long as nobody profits from that income? Can you tell me, has anyone profited from the income of AJL? Has anyone taken a rupee out of AJL?
But the Congress money...
No, please. You must answer that. Has anyone profited from AJL? That income remains with AJL. The assets remain with AJL.
One of the arguments is that the law has been changed while the UPA was in power so that even a not-for-profit company can be converted into a commercial entity. This is one of the... And I know it's prospective and you can't penalize somebody on something that hasn't happened. But politically, there's a perception that this not-for-profit company that controls all this real estate could tomorrow be converted into a commercial entity, a for-profit company.
So you speculate it will be done. Why do you speculate it will be done?
But then you have given the Gandhis, two people, 76% control in a company that could prospectively be converted into a for-profit company.
One of them is the Congress president, one of them is the Congress vice president. As long as they hold those offices, they represent the Congress party. There are other people on the board.
With nominal shareholding.
It doesn't matter. As I said, if 100 people own 1% each, or 5 people own 20% each, it makes no difference because it's a non-profit company.
You personally have also called the government foolish. You had a tightly worded statement talking in context of the Enforcement Directorate scrutiny of firms that they claim are related to your son. And you said it's a foolish government, it's out to harass your son and yourself. Do you believe you're the target in this and your son is the excuse? Because when I asked the finance minister this, he said those who are linked to those companies have serious questions to answer. But yet your statement was very strong. You gave two statements, the first time and the second time, and you were very dismissive and you said this is a foolish government.
No, I said I'd like to see how far a foolish government will go.
And what were you implying there?
Well, what I said, plain English language.
But you spoke of harassment.
What else is it?
Why do you believe? And do you believe the target is you and the political target, if you think it's harassment, is you? The first time you said, attack me, not my son.
I don't know who they want to harass, but let me make it clear. I will not be harassed. You can try. You won't succeed.
Why do you believe that the government is out to harass the opposition? Do you believe that there's also an element of convenient paranoia in some statements coming from opposition leaders? For example, Arvind Kejriwal is now saying that the CBI is out to destroy the opposition. That is his belief. We have seen a new probe, by the way, today ordered into Mr. Huda's decisions in Panchkula. But it could also be argued, Mr. Chidambaram, that if there is corruption and wrongdoing, then you can't not move against it just because it involves an opposition and you need to build bridges with them.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that. But if more and more people are coming out to complain that the government and the party behind the government is using every tool, every agency under their control to intimidate opposition leaders, why are you dismissive of these complaints and think that the government is acting virtuously?
No, I am not taking any sides in this.
There are serious issues in the raid on the Chief Minister's office. There are serious issues in the governor of a state calling an assembly session without the advice of the state cabinet. These are issues which cannot be wished away or explained as routine actions. There are serious issues there. And therefore, taking all these issues together, more and more people are inclined to believe that the government is hiding its incompetence. That incompetence was laid bare today by the mid-year economic analysis report put out by the chief economic advisor. Government is hiding its incompetence and inability to deliver on growth and on development by resorting to these actions. It's quite possible that one or two of these actions are based on genuine facts and there is misconduct there.
Yeah.
But if you take a series of actions and many of them are questionable, even the good will be driven out by the bad.
And you believe the Prime Minister is, because Mr. Rahul Gandhi named Mr. Modi.
Well, I don't know. I can only speak from what I know. I can't explain what Mr. Gandhi said or what anyone else said. I'm sure they will answer, they will explain if you put the question to them. I believe that the government is hiding its incompetence, hiding its inability to deliver on its promises 1 year, 7 months after it was voted to office by resorting to these indiscriminate, arbitrary, motivated actions.
Well, those are strong words, Mr. Chidambaram, former Finance Minister and Home Minister. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.